I'm going to give a quick tour of this little garden. It is in its second year. Well, sort of. I started it a few years ago, but after moving away for 4 years, I came back to a garden that had been completely overrun by bergamot and cup plant and not much else in it. So I ripped it all out and started again last year. I tried to keep it pretty much all tall grass prairie plants. A lot of it I have planted, but some are volunteers as well that I've allowed to grow. So right now, in the middle of July, most of the things are blooming. We have wonderful monardas growing here, both the bee balm, some of them with their wonderful double-decker flowers, and wild bergamot. Over here there's a small black bee, and actually you can see them congregating here. I have no idea what this is all about, but these bees seem to have decided to cluster around that plant. I noticed it first last night as they slowly started to accumulate. But they've been busy on this bergamot for the last couple of weeks, week and a half, I guess, since the flowers started open. There's all kinds of bumblebees and small bees throughout here. Down in front here I have white heath aster, so another month it will be a nice little cushion of white flowers. And in behind we have what the Japanese beetles love most is my evening primrose plants, and those are all volunteers. They typically are covered with Japanese beetles that I pick off several times a day, every day. As we walk around the garden, I planted some purple milkweed down here, but it's not doing well. It does get full sun through the day, and it's nice and dry with deeper moisture, so I hoped that it would be a good spot for it, but apparently not. I have a new place I'll move it to this fall. In behind here I have some gray-headed coneflower, Liatris Picada, and it's just starting to open now, so it should be quite lovely flush of yellow there in a few more days. And down in here, I'm really hoping this plant turns out to be the sky blue aster that I planted some seeds 2 years ago. Had a little bit of vegetation last year, and now the plant seems to have taken off. It does have a very aster-like look to it, so we'll find out, I guess, in another couple of weeks whether it's what I think it should be. Tucked down in here we have some Pye Weed. It suffered severely from the drought we had last couple of weeks, but with the rain it's really come back and is looking quite lovely. And up here, at least 7 feet tall, we have cup plants and no signs of the flowers yet, so it's probably going to be a good 8 feet high by the time it finally flowers. Last year these plants were about 4 feet high, and I was able to get some beautiful shots of the flowers, but that's not going to be the case this year, it's obvious. I call this garden my corral because I built this little rail fence along this side, the south side, and then across at the west end, just for a backdrop, but it's now well hidden by all of the plants. On this side I have an Oxeye Sunflower, or false sunflower. It's doing quite well here. It actually bloomed much earlier than its brethren over there at the far side. It's also only about 5 feet high, where those are at least 7 feet high now. And over in here we've got one of my favorites. These interesting leaves are the stiff goldenrod, which is Solidago rigida, and they will have an umbral of flowers, yellow flowers this fall, as opposed to the long feathery stalks typically seen on most goldenrods. This was a volunteer also. When I had moved home, there was one small plant. Last year it got quite a bit larger, and so finally this spring I was able to divide it, and now I have two of them growing here. Oh, lovely, the sun is coming out. In front here I've planted some Clematis virginiana, or Virgin's Bower, and given it some chicken wire to grow along. So far it's behaving itself, and I'm excited to see. I'm finally perhaps going to get some flowers on it soon. I haven't seen any yet though. And over here we have our Oxeye Sunflowers again. So these are very tall. These are very prone, if we can get in close enough to see, these lovely red aphids. So the plants are very well covered with them, and I tried hosing it down this spring, but without much success. They just keep coming back. But I see that I have some ladybugs now starting to gather, and those are predators for this. And as I see here, I also have a Japanese beetle, so I'm going to have to get my pail out and come and do some more drowning. As we work our way around, getting hidden underneath these now, I have some Lanceleaf Coreopsis, and those are quickly becoming one of my new favorite plants. This thing started blooming a long time ago and is still going strong. And I think I will be dividing that and spreading it along the front here. Tucked down in here, looking like it's going to be quite gorgeous this year, I have a Calico Aster. It's a little bit small amongst all these big plants, but I think it's going to be still showy enough this fall. And then over here, amidst some of these evening primrose, I have green-headed coneflower, also called cutleaf coneflower, called a whole bunch of other names, Rudbeckia laciniata, and it is going to have some flowers soon, and it's going to be quite exciting because this was just planted new this spring and I've not seen it before. Down in front I have some Liatris Picada. Not doing too good here. I'm not sure what's come over it. It has a bit of injury of some kind to the leaves. In another flower bed, it's twice as high and with no injury on it, so I don't know whether it's something in the soil or something just with this particular location that it doesn't like. Some more bee balm here. In behind I have a milkweed plant, common milkweed, and the drought really did a number on the flowers this year. They started out looking pretty good, but they soon became bedraggled. This plant is planted in a large pot so that it can't spread by rhizomes, and I cut the bottom out of the pot so it is contained in that location. And this worked because this was planted about 5 years ago and is not spread. Over on this side we have Penstemon digitalis, foxglove beard tongue, just nicely finished blooming. Seed heads are forming, so I should have some seeds later. A couple of flowers still on it though. And in behind I have some grass-leaved goldenrod, and in behind that I have golden Alexander, which is pretty much finished. The seed heads are all forming on it. I'm going to divide this year and move it out to the front a little more because these other plants are hiding it too much. Last year I had black swallowtail caterpillars on it, but I haven't seen any black swallowtails this year, nor their caterpillars. In front here I've got New England Aster, so this fall it'll be nice and purple. And then also new to this garden this year was my cylindrical blazing star. I have put a small tomato cage around this one because something kept knocking it over, and I just wanted it to be more upright, so I'll let it grow and strengthen there. And then the other plant that we haven't seen because it's hidden behind everything is I have a couple of Riddell's Goldenrod in here, and when I planted them I didn't know much about them. It's not going to be visible there, so I'm probably going to move it out to the front. I didn't realize they were such a short plant when I moved it here, or put it here. And this one has a tomato cage because in this case I'm the one that kept knocking it over when I would walk through here trying to capture my Japanese beetles. So there you have it, a quick tour of the corral. This has been a wonderful project, and I've enjoyed building it, and I hope you enjoyed touring it with me.